Morning everybody, so today is Weightape day. I try and do it regularly. I'm not always as great as I should be, I have to admit to you. It's one of those things. I'm better at doing Tommy than the others, because I guess I've been used to doing them by sight for quite a long time. Although I've had a Weightape, I've only done it every now and again, so I've tried to get into more of a regular routine with it, and as I say, it varies as to how successful I am. However, I'm going to do that today, all three of them, and see what it says. I think it'll be interesting to compare it to last year, especially for Chesney, obviously, because he last year wasn't very well at the beginning of the year, so it took a long time to get his weight back on last year, so he'll be interesting I compare to what he was this time last year. I've got an idea, because obviously I have Weightape him this year already a few times, so I've got an idea, but I'll tell you about that when I actually do him. Tommy, I have a feeling, will be obviously he wasn't here this time last year, but I have an idea he will be more than he was when he came. I just hope not too much more. And Basil, I'm hoping, will be similar. He looks about similar as he is every year at this time. He does tend to lose weight in the winter, so it's not, I don't stress too much about him getting a bit on in the summer. Obviously I don't want him too fat, but anyway, we will get on with that and have a look at what the numbers say. Okay, so we're going to do Chesney first. He and Basil will look pretty clean because it's cold and wet. They've got some thin rugs on to try and keep them dry. Now Chesney, looking at Chesney, obviously he looks quite shiny because he's had his rug on his back and the sun's coming in, but he's 22 now. He's never been hugely round. Some horses get like a really big barrel. He never does. You can always see, feel his ribs, but he's got them. He gets little fat patches here. So that always seems to be the first thing he gets as he's getting a little bit rounder. He does get a bit cresty, and he's a little bit more cresty than I'd like him to be, which is why they're on limited grazing now. Because he's old, obviously it's deceiving on his top, because he's got his spine is still over the top of him. And his bottom, if you can see, is about right. It's nearly. In the past, we had 1 year when he did get much too fat, and he got fat patches up here as well, but he hasn't got them. So let's see what the Weightape says. Last year he was about, because I don't find them that easy to read, he was about 560 kilograms. So let's see what it says this time. So I'm not sure that they're that accurate this time, so I never know which way. It's not that easy. It's about 574 this time. As I say, I never find it that easy, because 560 is here, and it's quite a big thing, and then 574's there. So he's gone up a couple, which I'm not surprised about. And as I say, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think this is as fat as I'd like him to be. as I said already, he's up there on restricted grazing as well now. Chesney is quite difficult to restrict grazing wise. If you because he will come a day and he'll decide he's going to the other side of the electric fence, and I don't know whether he goes under or over, because you cannot see any evidence of what he's done, but he's the wrong side of the fence. So I have to keep him happy so he doesn't do that, because obviously then he's got access to way too much grass. So it's a bit of a balancing act with Chesney, isn't it? And obviously he's munching on a bit of hay at the moment, but they're in all day to reduce their lush grass intake. Not that they're on any lush grass, but to reduce their grass intake anyway, amongst other things. So that's Chesney. So I'm relatively happy with that. It is July, just so we've had all the lush growing period. So let's see what the others say. So next up, Tommy. He doesn't have a rug on, as you can tell, and he's cut his nose this week, down here. Not quite sure what on. It's a tiny bit swollen. I'm hoping it's going to go down and I'm not going to have to get the vet out. We put some we managed to get some yellow antiseptic spray on, didn't we? Which is why it's slightly yellow, if you can see. It's not this here, it's above it. He is quite accident prone, to be honest, which bless him. But there you go, he's all right, aren't you? So Tommy wise, as I said, I've been interested to see weight wise, but I think he looks okay. If I run my fingers, I can just feel his ribs, but he's not looking particularly cresty up here, so that's a good thing. He's got a nice shiny coat. You've got a nice shiny coat. Again, he's much younger, obviously, so his spine is still he's got a dorsal stripe, so it's sort of or very light. It sort of gives the impression that he's fatter on either side, but he's not really. It's just darker in the middle. But he is nearly. So he also is on the cusp of, you know, I wouldn't want him to be any fatter, but he's actually, bless him, been on restricted grazing since about March, haven't you? But he still gets some hay, and I know he's got a bowl of food, but really he gets a few carrots and a handful of chaff, just so that he keeps coming in them when I want him to, because I still not very reliably able to catch him when I need to. So the tiny feeder means that he does come in. So let's see what the Weightape says. Where's the end? So why are you looking so nervous today? Are you silly? Are you silly? You're not being silly. There we go. There's a good boy. To look forward, it doesn't work in doing that. Okay, so he's just 384, which I know is more than it was when he came. I'll have a look at my bit of paper. Good boy. What's it say on a bit of paper? It says 356. That was before he came, to be honest. I don't know when they weighed him before he came, but that's what they said he was when he came. So You have gone up. How many cats have you gone up? Yes, quite a few. Chesney's gone up 2, he's gone up 4. So as I say, he's really on the cusp, but he has been on really limited grazing. If you watch my vlogs, you'll know that I ended up having to move him because he just was running up and down, like or trotting or cantering up and down for like an hour or so. So I had to move him till he got a tiny bit more because he was so unhappy. You're alright, aren't you? Yeah. So it's getting the balancing act right with them all, really, isn't it? You know, you don't want them to get too fat, you don't want them to have laminitis, obviously. But you also have to keep them sane. So it's quite, it is a delicate balancing act, isn't it? He's a good boy. So as I say, he's on the cusp, and he has been on limited grazing for quite a while now, haven't you? But he didn't really lose much over the winter. He did wear a rug a little bit, but he was so hairy. The rug was really just to keep him dry, not let. What's that noise? I think the farmer must be coming down with a big tractor. Anyway, so yeah, so we monitoring you, aren't we? We haven't often. Sometimes I move the fence a little bit, but we haven't moved it for quite a while. And I was thinking about moving it today, but I'm not sure that I will. Obviously, it's only like a foot or something, and his fence only moves into where Chesney and Basil are, so he doesn't get any long grass. He gets what Chesney and Basil have already grazed. So, but I may rethink that based on that number. He has been more over the winter, but I think that must have been because of his woolly coat, because I can't think he would have been much fatter in January than he is now. So I just think that his woolly coat must have made quite a big difference to the Weightape. So it's quite difficult to tell what he is over the winter, because obviously his woolly coat obviously covers his body all over, so you can't see. Good boy. We better go and do Basil now then, see what frightening statistics he's going to give us. His lips are better, actually, in case you're interested. To be honest, I put Vaseline on for 3 or 4 days, but after 2 they were better, so that was a good thing to do, wasn't it? So Basil, Basil has done no work for 2 weeks because he's well, he lost his shoe and he was footsore, and then the farrier put it back on and he's still not been quite right, so he's done no work for 2 weeks. But as you can see, he's looking quite round, and you can feel his ribs, and I always reference that because they say about that in the body score index that you can feel their ribs. Well, you can feel all their ribs, some more than others. I mean, check Basil's, you can see, but none of them are thin. In fact, they're all a little bit fatter than you would want them to be, really. But at this time of year, he actually has got a bit of a fat patch there, haven't you? But he doesn't get cresty as a thoroughbred. Well, he doesn't get thrust. Whether that is because he's a thoroughbred or not, I don't know. As I say, he's got a little. His spine is still relatively prominent there. He has a funny shaped bottom anyway. So this is not fat. This is bone that's sticking up over his spine. So you know, so his spine is still slightly prominent from his body. but he's definitely a little bit chubbier than I would like him to be, considering he's a windsucker. And they often say they lose condition, but he tends to eat and windsuck. So let's see what the tape says. So last year Basil was fined 11. I'm afraid I think it might be a little bit more this year. Not easy when it keeps windsucking. Actually no, he's the same as this time last year. So there we are. So again, he's a smidge more than I'd like him to be. But we are just coming to the end of the spring, so the grass growing down, growing of the grass even slows down a little bit now until the autumn flush. So hopefully they will stabilise, and as I keep saying, they are on relatively restricted grazing, but I have to keep Chesney a bit happy because otherwise he just goes through the fence. So, and I can't separate Chesney and Basil unfortunately, because Chesney then doesn't eat at all. And we did that one year when Basil had a poorly foot and we were trying to keep him really quiet, but all Chesney did was walk up and down the fence all day, and then he got colic from not eating, so that is not an option. So there we go. So that's Weightape day. No surprises really. I knew they were all a little bit bigger than ideally, but I will keep monitoring them, keep watching them. I don't like to shut them in the stables for any long period of time without any hay. I don't agree with that because of their tummies. I developed to always have food going around in them. Tommy has small hauled hay net to try and slow him down with his eating. So that's what we do with him to try to further restrict his food. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.